Welcome to another DragonLance Saga review episode. It is Palas Deep Cult the 23rd. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to give you my review of The Middle of Nowhere by Paul B. Thompson. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can visit the links in the description below, and you can even get $10 by signing up to start playing .games. All right, so these reviews are just my perspective. Yours may differ. Share your thoughts if they do. And if you agree, then, share those thoughts too. Let's all share our thoughts everywhere, all at once. No, it'll be a good time. We need something to make this a better review than just the review itself. Because let's be honest, not all these books are great. You know? I mean, it wasn't terrible, but not great. All right. In any case, I invite you to share your thoughts. I always love hearing different perspectives on all of these books. All right, so the way these works is I have a pre-written review. I'm going to go through that with all of you. And then at the end of that, if there's any questions or comments in the live chat, I'll comment on those, or I'll just riff on characters or situations from the book, and that'll be that. All right, so let's dive in, shall we? We start in the town of Nowhere. A simple, hard-working farmer village. A group of bandits arrive, mainly with ogre brutes, but led by Lord Raquel. He's claimed control of the village and killed all who resisted. Then he demands able-bodied men and women to go to the mines in the mountains, with fresh ones to be swapped out in a few weeks' time. So he'll come back and get those new people. Malek, a farmer, tried to fight them, but he was knocked down, and Raquel saw that an old Slavemasters Knight leader of his was in the town. He took Marin, the old Slavemasters Knight leader, and his daughter, Layla, with them and left. The townspeople were beside themselves. They couldn't stand up to these brutes, and their livelihood would end without the men and women Raquel took to help farm the land. Malek decided to recruit warriors to fight back. He, Nils, his brother, Kada, and Wilf all traveled to the town of Roban and attempted to recruit warriors. They had no money, only food to cover the costs, and so most laughed at them or just outright ignored them. They discovered a minotaur who was ostracized by his family for being a poet, who did agree to fight with them. A Kurish nomad named Hum agreed to go as well. They ended up adopting a kender named Carver and a sailor mercenary named Reka. Together, they aided the escape of a Khaganasti hunter named Amerjin, who killed the son of a gang leader in a duel. They only needed a leader and came across a disgraced Knight of the Rose named Howland. He agreed to help them, and they all left the town, evading the gang. They came across a lynching where the crowd was paralyzed. Izu, a traveler, was going to be hanged by these villagers for being an outsider, but he paralyzed them, hoping to escape his bonds. He was unable to do so, so the group let him out and he joined them on their way back. They continued on their way to Nowhere. Nowhere is literally the name of a town. And Reka was trapped by a Khaganasti bounty hunter, but rescued by her group, and they all captured him. He turned out to be the famous Robin the Tireless. They all arrived at the town and let Robin go. He agrees to help, but will need to deliver his bounty afterward. They all rally the townspeople and start to build up defenses, with some of them going to scout the enemy camp. They hide while some prisoners and guards are going to get water, then attack, killing some of them. The guards fight back and end up killing Hume, and as others flee. Malek saw Layla and was trying to rescue her, which is what led to Hume's death. He scolded, and they return to Nowhere, hoping their plans haven't been ruined. They spend a significant amount of time digging trenches, teaching villagers to fight, and making plans for Raquel to return. By the time Raquel was supposed to return, he didn't. The bounty hunter and Khaganasti had a brief back and forth about fighting each other when scouts arrived, and they slew them, then returned to camp. Raquel sends a soldier with troops to test the fortifications. The villagers fought off all the probes by the invaders. Howland sent Malek and Nils to scout the area and report back, and then the real battle began. They fought off the invaders, taking damage, but delivering it in kind, and then they planned to parley for peace. When they went there, they were captured, but Izu, the traveler, cast a darkness spell, and Howland escaped with the aid of the seemingly traitorous Marin Uth Agar. Raquel was also knew Howland from the same Salamnic Knight company, but he was only a sergeant, not a knight. He's led to Malik and Nils, who all escape, even though Malik wanted to find Layla. They return to the village, and the battle resumes, this time with catapults and ogres attacking. In the end, they fought off the invaders, killed the ogres, and many of Raquel's bandit soldiers abandoned him. They ended up losing Amergin, Carver, and Kor in the battle. Izu returned to camp to deliver a message, and Raquel used him as a distraction to attack the village again. Raquel's forces are diminished, but they fought well. In the end, Howland and Raquel faced off against each other and dueled. It was a pitched battle, back and forth, both of them attacking each other and getting the upper hand in different times, but in the end, Raquel died before Howland could deliver a final stroke. It turns out, Amergin wasn't dead after all, as his throwing star was plunged into Raquel's neck. With his death, the battle was lost. His bandits fled and the town returned to normalcy. They buried all their dead and honored the fallen Kor. Turns out the Kender Carver wasn't dead either, just stuck in a house from the battle. As Howland, Reka, and Robin all went to free the remaining slaves from Raquel's mine, along the way, Izu arrived and revealed he is a wanderer, or the wanderer. Whether they're inferring he is Valthonis or something else entirely, I don't really like him in the story. This is an era where there are no gods, so someone wandering the land with the powers of a god is off-brand and out of place. He leaves and they all arrive at the mine. It ends up that it was destroyed and revealed that the slaves all revolted after a red dragon assaulted the mine. Left behind are stacks of steel bars. The remaining 3 take what they can and travel in different directions to their own futures. In all, it was a trite and expected story, falling back on old Kurosawa tropes that bled into and informed American Westerns. It was entirely derivative, and I had to force myself to read it rather than enjoying it. It was well written, it's just not a good telling of a familiar story. If you're a completionist, by all means read it. Otherwise, you can skip this novel entirely. All right. Chris, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. You really like this one? Well, that's good. Works better when it's gritty like this. It was so derivative that I knew every story beat when it was going to happen, you know? So there was no surprises except for Edu, who was apparently a god, and I just don't like gods in these stories. In this time frame, there's not supposed to be any gods walking around. Even Valthonis isn't around until the War of Souls. So I don't know who the hell this Izu was supposed to be, or who the Wanderer is, or the Traveler, as all these are sort of names he gave himself. The whole story reminded you of the Forget the Kender campaign, where the party had to train and defend a town of Duntol. All right. Yeah, I guess kind of. Yeah. Hey, Aging Viking, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. The Minotaur's poet death was sad. Great character, but consequences are so important. They have been missing from many prior to DL novels. I had a hard time because I didn't feel like any of the characters actually got any real development. It seemed like they all had these secrets that they didn't want to share with the other people. And so you were never really invested, even when they spent time in the novel to try to build up character depth. For me, it ended up lacking. I just didn't really connect with any character. You love the idea that several of the volunteers just wanted to fight for a noble cause. In a world with such high mortality rates, that's a worthwhile motivation. And wholly unrealistic. I can't imagine, no matter what life situation any of these people were in, that they would be like, yeah, let me go risk my life for literally nothing but barley. No, I just don't see that happening ever. You would have liked more closure about the Traveler. That was your only drawback with this one. Yeah, he drove me nuts, actually. Eduardus, or however you say your name, thanks for tuning in. You think you'll skip this one. You like your Dragonlance in a classic sense. No gods, fewer, no dragons, and plenty of suffering. In the early stories, at least, right? Right. I mean, it's the Seven Samurai. That's the story. And you can look at all, like The Mandalorian is a big proponent of this. There's numberless, just countless Westerns that are about the same story. And just you gather 7 warriors to defend a village from bad guys. That's the tale. And it's been told so many different times in so many different ways in novels and TV series and films that the story beats are all just handed to you. And all Paul B. Thompson did was swap out names and locations. But the entire story is exactly the same as with every single version of the Seven Samurai. So that's what really drove me crazy. I kept thinking about that Zack Snyder failed Star Wars movie that he did, and I'm having a hard time remembering the name of it right now. Rebel Moon. It reminded me of Rebel Moon because that's what the story is, the Seven Samurai. He just redid it instead of doing a Star Wars version of it, he ended up doing his own space fantasy version of it. But it was the exact same story. And so I was just thinking of that the whole time that I was reading this, getting pissed off because that was a terrible adaptation of the story. And I was just like, yeah, well, that's going to happen. Yep. And then that's going to happen. Yep. And then that's going to happen. Yep. Yeah, you have to, if you're going to use a familiar trope, you have to subvert expectation to keep people invested. If you don't do that, then we just don't care. And I guess the attempt at that would be Edu, the character, who is ostensibly a god, and he could do whatever he want, whenever he wanted. No one could ever hurt him or anything. But ironically, he was found because he was going to be hung. So the character itself is nonsensical, not consistent, and doesn't really do anything except for whenever someone's going to die, he shows up to save them. But he doesn't actually do anything. He's just a watcher. I mean, the whole trope is stupid and pointless, and it doesn't add anything to the story. It's just a good get out of jail free card with the character, which makes it even more frustrating. In any case, you're ashamed to admit you didn't read The Seven Samurai. It's a movie. That's why you liked it. I'm sure you've seen films like this, though. Like, that's where this all comes from. All right. In any case, it didn't work for me very well. I'm glad that other people enjoy it. And if this is your kind of a story, I would say go watch some Westerns because they're so much better in every possible way than this story. This story is supposed to be set in a time where there's dragon overlords, i.e. no gods. And yet they have this traveler, this wanderer, this Izu character who is literally a god walking through Krynn helping people. That breaks the immersion of Dragonlance instantly, and it tells you that this is not actually a canon piece of work. This is just a piece of work, if you know what I mean. All right, that is it for my review of The Middle of Nowhere by Paul B. Thompson. What do you think of this familiar tale? Do you like divinity present in the 5th Age? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to thank creator patron Aaron Hardy, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. I'd also like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of Dragonlance Saga, and I hope you'll join in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Sanchavar.